1 million pistols, each costing less than a pair of shoes, rolled off a hidden assembly line. Yet none are confirmed to have ever killed their intended enemy. America called it the ultimate secret weapon, poised to spark rebellion in Nazi-occupied Europe. If the FP-45 Liberator was built to change history, how did it end up as the war's greatest missed opportunity? The truth begins with a factory no one was supposed to notice. Inside the guide lamp division of General Motors in Anderson, Indiana, an entire section of the factory vanished behind newly built walls. On the other side, the noise never stopped. 300 workers, most of them women, took their places on a line that was both ordinary and forbidden. Each had signed secrecy papers barring them from talking about their work, even to family. Their orders were simple: assemble a device called the flare projector, caliber 45. The name was a deliberate misdirection. The parts arrived from every corner of the General Motors empire: barrels from Frigidaire, bushings from Saginaw, collars from Detroit Transmission, trigger guards from Moraine. Like clockwork, boxes moved in, finished pistols moved out. The workflow was relentless. Every 6.6 seconds, another pistol rolled off the line. No one on the outside knew what was being built, or why it had to be so fast. The workforce never saw the finished product outside their assigned stations. Most never knew the true purpose of the thing they were building. The walled-off bay became its own world, a place where the usual rules of the war economy bent to something stranger, something urgent. The women on the line measured their contribution by the rhythm of the assembly and the weight of a secret they were never supposed to share. In just 11 weeks, that hidden line produced 1 million pistols. The project did not appear in any official company history. The Liberator pistol arrived in a plain cardboard box, barely longer than a man's hand. At just 5.5 inches, it looked more like a toy than a weapon of war. But the design was all business, if your business was desperation. The barrel was a smooth tube, not rifled, so the 45 ACP round would tumble off course past 4 yards. Accuracy was a theory. At anything but point-blank distance, it was a matter of luck. The grip was hollow, meant to hide 5 extra rounds. But firing more than one shot in a hurry was wishful thinking. Reloading required a ritual that would test anyone's nerves. Pop open the breech, tip the barrel up, and poke the spent casing out with a wooden dowel. Only then could you drop in a new cartridge, snap it closed, and cock the striker. Under perfect conditions, that process took over 30 seconds. Under fire, it might as well have been a lifetime. No words came with the pistol. There was a single sheet of pictographs. Step-by-step cartoons showed how to load, aim, and fire at near-contact range, then use the dowel to clear the empty case. The final panel left little doubt: shoot, take the enemy's weapon, and move on. In theory, anyone could use it. In practice, the instructions assumed a lot. If you had never seen a pistol before, the comic strip was more wishful thinking than practical training. The Liberator was not built for precision or speed. Its one real advantage was surprise, if you could get close enough, and if you did not fumble the reload. For the imagined civilian user, it offered a single silent question: do you feel lucky? In Washington, a handful of planners believed they had found a shortcut to victory. The Joint Psychological Warfare Committee, a group better known for memos than mayhem, set out to design a weapon for the mind as much as for the hand. Their blueprint was simple, at least on paper. Flood occupied Europe with 1 million pistols so basic anyone could use one. The idea was not to arm armies, but to arm everyone else: the shopkeeper, the farmer, the teenager on a bicycle. The Liberator was never meant to win a firefight. Its real purpose was to spark a chain reaction. The first link was simple: get as many pistols as possible into civilian hands. The next step imagined those civilians, emboldened by their new tool, using it to ambush an isolated enemy soldier, then trading up by taking the fallen man's rifle or submachine gun. If even a fraction succeeded, the rumor alone would ripple through the ranks. Suddenly, any civilian on a street corner might be a threat. German soldiers would start looking over their shoulders, trust would erode, and the occupation would turn sour from within. The final hope was that Berlin would have no choice but to pull thousands of troops from the front lines just to patrol the rear, weakening the war effort at its core. The committee's theory was bold, almost mathematical in its logic. One pistol, one dead occupier, one better weapon in resistance hands. Repeat the process, and the enemy's sense of control would unravel. For the planners in Washington, it was the perfect psychological trap, a weapon whose true power lay in fear, rumor, and the imagination. Crates of Liberator pistols stacked up on British docks, each one a promise of underground revolt. But when the numbers reached the desks of Allied commanders, the enthusiasm vanished. Of the 500,000 pistols shipped to Britain, fewer than 25,000 ever left the warehouse. That is less than 5%. Most never made it past the planning stage. The rest sat idle, boxed and forgotten, while resistance groups asked for something else entirely. Commanders in Europe and the OSS weighed their options. The Sten submachine gun, cheap to build and fully automatic, became the real backbone of the resistance. More than 85,000 Stens were delivered to French partisans alone. The choice was obvious: a weapon that could spray a dozen rounds in seconds, or a single-shot pistol that required half a minute to reload. When airlift space was precious, every pound counted. Crates filled with Liberators meant less room for radios, explosives, or food, items the resistance actually needed. The Pacific Theater saw a modest exception. About 50,000 Liberators were sent to MacArthur's command, scattered among guerrilla units in the Philippines and beyond. Even there, they were outnumbered by standard-issue rifles, shotguns, and captured enemy arms. Most FP-45 pistols spent the war in storage, never issued, never fired. As the war ended, the surplus became a headache. Hundreds of thousands of unused pistols faced their final journey, not to the front, but to the scrapyard or the ocean floor. Disposal orders swept through depots from England to India. In the end, the million-dollar gamble was quietly written off, leaving behind warehouses of unopened boxes and a growing silence in the official records. Researchers have scoured the archives looking for any trace of the Liberator's battlefield record. They combed through Wehrmacht orders, Gestapo security files, OSS after-action reports, and resistance memoirs. The result was nothing. No German directive ever warned troops about a flood of cheap American pistols. No Gestapo memo listed the FP-45 as a threat. Not a single Allied report confirms a successful assassination or a captured enemy weapon traced to the Liberator. Museums like the Baltimore Police Museum sum it up bluntly. No documented instances, no confirmed combat kills. Even the OSS, which took custody of nearly 500,000 pistols, left behind no paperwork showing the weapon in action. For a project that produced 1 million guns, the official record remains almost entirely silent. On the collector market, the Liberator's reputation did what its designers never managed. It soared. Decades after the war, surplus pistols that once sold as novelty items now command prices between $1,700 and $5,000. The real jackpot is not just the gun. It is the original box, the comic strip instructions, and the wooden dowel. Fewer than 300 complete boxed sets are believed to survive. Auction catalogs treat them like rare art, and bidding wars break out over cardboard and waxed paper. For a weapon that was supposed to be disposable, the Liberator has become a prize for those chasing a legend, a story worth far more than its stamped steel. Today, 1 million forgotten pistols remind us, not every weapon changes history, but every myth shapes how we remember it. As legend outpaces fact, the line between invention and impact blurs. Sometimes the stories we choose to value reveal more than the battles themselves. Share your thoughts below.